at this turnout. Oh my goodness. If you would have told me 20 years ago when I started PRN that there would be such beautiful, warm reception and support for a PRN organization, I would not have believed it. This has been a labor of love to be able to have a PRN organization in the state of North Carolina. You are welcome to be here on the second coldest day of the year in North Carolina. As we are doing our ribbon cutting outside, I will keep my remarks fairly short. Those of you who know, we're like, yeah, right. No, I will, it's cold. So welcome to everybody to our new Raleigh Recovery Hub and Cafe space. Yes. Yeah, I hope as you walk around the space, I just invite you to do what I do when we come into these spaces. First of all, let me tell you this about this space. This space looked like the 70s and 80s had a baby, and the baby was not cute. And so this has been about 4 to 5 months of a lot of heart and renovation, because when we walk in this space, we want our community to walk in and feel valued, validated, loved, protected, and we want people to come in and share their wisdom and receive support and receive wisdom in exchange. So our physical spaces are really, really critical to making that happen. I hope you see that as you go through. And the invitation is, think about all the people that are going to come into this space, and they're going to come in maybe feeling grief and loss, maybe feeling broken, maybe feeling hope, maybe feeling creativity and energy, maybe walking in feeling the love, but walking out certainly being a part of a community. Think about that as you walk through all the people that are going to be walking through this space, which are a lot, let me tell you. Last month alone in our Charlotte space, we have a recovery hub in our Charlotte space. Last month alone, we had 1,900 people in that space. And yeah, these spaces are like a hub and spoke, and this is literally the hub of everything else that we do. So we had 1,900 people in that space enjoying. We had around 165 different activities and classes and things going on for them in the month. This space is probably going to be bigger than that. And you are here as we cut our ribbon. Now, we did our last ribbon cutting here in Raleigh 14 months ago. Was anybody here for the Fernwood, for the Raleigh Respite? Yeah, that was 14 months. Can you believe it's been 14 months? I will tell you, with that house, we have found a family and a community here in Raleigh. We really have. We have been embraced. There was some bumps in the beginning with our community, our neighbors, but we think we've won them over. We love them. Hopefully they like us. But we truly feel like Raleigh has become part of our family and part of our home. And that is because of all of you that has welcomed us in. So we thank you so very much for giving us a place to land in Wake County. So welcome to our space. Really quickly about this space. This is our Recovery Hub and Cafe space. This is an open access, no barrier space, which means that anybody can come in and be involved in anything we have going on, or just come in and connect. The reason why we started this space 20 years ago in Charlotte was because we realized that systems can feel very burdensome to those of us with lived experience. And by the time you get a referral, and by the time you get authorizations, and by the time you get approval, and by the time you get an assessment, if you're still on board, you feel some sort of way. Right? Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Yeah, it makes sense to everybody. Many of the folks that we see in Charlotte have been kicked out of every other organization. Literally, we are called the last house on the last block. While we love the community that we are with, we are sad that that is their truth and that is their reality. So here in Raleigh, this space is going to be open access. It doesn't matter the person's history. We don't care about their diagnosis. We don't care about what they've done or what's been done to them. We don't care if they have insurance or not insurance and how many diagnoses that they have. It is irrelevant to us because we are an organization who has lived on the streets, survived in prison, survived in psychiatric centers, have many labels behind our names as well. We know what that feels like. and we will not perpetuate the rejection and the harm within our own community. So in this space, everybody is welcome. Yes, you can absolutely clap about that. So the last thing I want to say is this space is a great example of what happens when community of people with lived experience partner with folks from the state, partner with folks from our managed care organizations, partner with our folks from the county. And when we come together, we can do amazing things, even in times that feel really stressful and maybe distressful to some of us, maybe even all of us. The truth is when things are at their worst or they feel like they're really struggling is when the most opportunity exists. But we need the leaders to rise, to come together and make these things a reality. So I want to thank the folks behind me that are going to be speaking for supporting us, for in the hardest maybe moment in our professional histories, coming together and making something like this happen is no small feat, let me tell you all. So I'm going to start with one of my favorite people in this absolute world, and she knows it and gets embarrassed when I say this, but I mean this, I for real. I'm not saying this because you were here. I mean this for real. Kelly Crosby. Yeah, yes. Kelly Crosby is an angel. No, I'm not going to go that far. Kelly Crosby is a human who's flawed like all of us, but is a leader that has a vision and a willingness to put herself out there. That is for real, for real. I've said this to Kelly before, so it's not going to be a surprise. You renewed my faith in this system. I all but walked away from trying to do, yes. I all but walked away from trying to do work in North Carolina. We were in Charlotte. I know, the great state of Mecklenburg-County, whatever. We were in Charlotte for a long time, but we couldn't get any traction in our state until Kelly came on the team. And Kelly, you saw something in not only us, because it really isn't about us. It's about the movement. It's about the purpose. It's about you believing in those of us who live this every single day in our lives and helping us to rise and to elevate. You are a godsend to people with lived experience, and you have been the biggest champion and pioneer for peer-run agencies in the state since I've been here for 21 years. I thank you, thank you, thank you, and invite you up to the podium. So she's not going to live up to that. You already have. That's what you don't even say anything.
All right, thank you, Shireen. That's hard to live up to, so I thank you for that. And Shireen, she does this all the time. I don't know how, but when I have a hard day, it's not unusual to get a text from Shireen. It's really unusual, and it's just a text of encouragement. I'm thinking about you and hope you're doing well. So I really appreciate you, Shireen, as a person and for all that you do here in PRN. But let me be official for a second. My name's Kelly Crosby, and I am the director of our division of mental health, developmental disabilities, and substance use services. It's a name worth knowing. It's a long name, but all those are people. So I say the full name, and that's really, really important. And I work for the Department of Health and Human Services. So I bring you greetings from our secretary, Deb Sangvai, who can't be with you today, but know that I am here on behalf of the department. I want to thank to our Governor Stein. He is not with us, but he is such a champion. I can do my job because he is a champion for mental health, substance use, and recovery. And we are joined here today too. I'm sure that you've noticed our First Lady Anna Stein here as well. She too is I know. She too is an extraordinary champion for recovery. So I want to talk about the word recovery just a little bit. So I realize in this audience, there may be people that don't even realize what that means, like recovery. And when people hear recovery, a lot of times they think, well, in recovery from an illness, in recovery from substance use. We think about that a lot. But we don't often talk about in recovery, and I don't necessarily want to say from mental health, but living with maybe mental health issues and perhaps in recovery from the things that have caused or exacerbated our mental health issues. And recovery is very, 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 very possible. I do what I do. I tell folks this all the time, so I'm sorry for boring you with the same story again. But I am a person with lived experience. That's a term we use all the time too. So if you don't know what that means, that's really important. Lived experience Typically means you yourself have a mental health or substance use issue. It can also mean that you have a loved one with mental health or substance use issues. I got a heck of a lot of lived experience. I was raised by an individual with serious mental health issues. He went to war. He was severely traumatized as a 19-year-old, and he came back and had lifelong mental health issues, lifelong. He never received clinical, official treatment supports. There weren't any in our little rural town, and he was also a manly man who was in the Army, and he would have been ashamed to go for formal treatment. That's just the way the world was years ago. And I'll be honest with you, back then too, 30 years ago, the odds of him being institutionalized were very, very high. Thank God we have a different world today. So now we can talk about people in recovery. We can talk, hopefully, about having mental health symptoms or having trauma, healing from that trauma. We don't have to say that we have a mental illness label and we're going to be ill for the rest of our lives. We need care in an institution. I hope we've moved really far away from that. And where we are now is this beautiful day here with PRN. This is the third PRN ribbon cutting I've been to in 3 years. The first was for the statewide Peer Warm Line. The Peer Warm Line existed well before in the great state of Mecklenburg, before we took it statewide. Every month, over 8,000 people call that Peer Warm Line. It's extraordinary. These are people who have their own mental health or substance use issues or in their own recovery from whatever trauma or whatever life has thrown at them. And they help others. They help others with their symptoms, navigate their lives, and sometimes navigate a really tricky and unfriendly treatment system. We got to be honest about that. The second was the Peer Respite over in Raleigh. And the Peer Respite is a wonderful alternative to someone going to the emergency room or being hospitalized. It's a place where someone can voluntarily say, I don't feel well. I need some time apart. They can go to this place, they can stay, they can get the support from other peers, people who have walked in their shoes and know what it's like. And this is the third space. And this is an extraordinary time. It's a hard time for us now in mental health, right? It's a hard time. We've had some horrific tragedies here in this state. We have. And our hearts go out to those families. They've been horrific tragedies. They are. And it points out to our continued need to make sure that we have services available for people in ways that make sense to them, services that are available in ways without barriers, as Shireen says, where we're accepting of people for who they are and what they need, where we don't criminalize their behavior, where we explain things to their families and help them know things are going to be okay and that there's a warm, inviting place here. So peer-led organizations, whether it's the Warm Line, whether it's respites, whether it's these cafes, drop-in centers, living rooms across the state, are an incredibly important part of our care delivery system. People will need treatment sometimes. They'll need to go to clinicians like me. I'm a clinician. They'll need to come to me. But the other 99% of their time, they live in communities. They do. We need communities that are healing and hopeful, understanding, stigma-free, and we need places where they can come. People can come, be loved for exactly who they are, and get support from people who have walked in their shoes and know what it's like. So I'm very grateful for PRN, the peer-run services they bring, and other peer-run organizations that are across the state that are a critical part of our recovery system here in North Carolina. So this is a day to celebrate, and I want to thank Shireen and Noah and the whole PRN team. You guys are awesome. Thank all of you. Woo! All right. And our next speaker is Sean Schreiber, who is the Chief Operating Officer. Is that right?
For today.
For today. He wears many very important hats at Alliance Healthcare.
Thank you, Director Cosby. Shireen, my name is Sean Schreiber, Chief Operating Officer at Alliance Health, and I hopefully in the top 25 of Shireen's favorite people.
26.
26.
You just missed it, Sean.
Next year.
Next year.
If we help fund another one.
Yes, then we'll talk.
So our CEO, Rob Robinson, gives his regards. He'll be here later for a tour. He couldn't be here, but wanted to make sure Alliance had a chance to speak. If you don't know what Alliance Health is, we're the local managed care local managed care entity, something or other, LME MCO. And what we do is we have a role of providing Medicaid coverage and coverage for individuals who have serious and persistent mental illness, substance use disorders, intellectual and developmental disabilities. And so we have a very special population with unique needs. And we're very grateful to have partners like Pierre and Shireen who design programs and services that are not just designed for people, but led by the people who use these services. So we're really grateful. spend a lot of time kind of reading what's going on in healthcare and looking at trends. And I'm always struck by looking at every day there's some new investment, tens, hundreds of millions of dollars in digital health and all these kind of fancy ways to help people. And I always get worried because at the end of the day, we have so many people who have been isolated and marginalized and not have really the opportunity to participate in a community. And I'm so grateful that we have providers and services such as this, where people come together, people are invited to come in. We need more treatment in this state, but we also need the right kind of treatment. There is so much talk about kind of what we can do to fix the system. We talk about mental illness as a problem. And again, what I'm really grateful for Shireen and PRN, they remind us that mental illness isn't a problem to solve. These are people who need compassion, care, understanding, a safe place to go, and a community to call their own without necessarily having to be coerced or forced into treatment. I appreciate so much that PRN spends so much time thinking about the environment of care they set up, making sure it's a place that any of us would be proud to come to congregate with friends, learn new skills, take our loved ones. And I think it's a real credit to this community and the state and Shireen for the investments they're making in this type of behavioral health services. In the short time that they've been operating this hub in a temporary location before moving to this beautiful space, they've raised served 850 people. 850 people otherwise be walking around in pain and suffering are able to get care because of what they provide. So again, it's an honor to be here today to help be part of this voting ceremony. And thank you, Shireen, and the state and the county for all your leadership and support of behavioral health services. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to try to remember the 5 B's this morning. Be brief, brother, be brief. I know it's a little cool outside, and I know everyone is trying to want to get back inside. So, but good morning again. I am Don Miles, Chair of the Wake County Board of Commissioners. And it's always wonderful to celebrate innovative work, especially when we know it will make life better for our Wake County residents. Trying to keep my speech together here so the wind doesn't take and blow it away. But 2 years ago, my colleagues and I first heard about Promise Resource Network Peer Run. We were impressed with the work right away and glad they was coming to Wake County. Promise Resource Network is one of the few organizations led entirely by people with lived experience in areas where they work, like as mental health challenges or substance use. This team approach creates something special to meet folks where they are. Today, we are excited that same passion and insight have created this new hub and cafe. We know that clinical support are important for people trying to overcome opioid use disorder. But we also know that connection and community are essential for lasting recovery. When Wake County staff asked the community how we could best invest opioid settlement funds, a running theme were peer support. There's no better guide on a recovery journey than someone who's been there before. This program will bring together folks who are struggling with people who are trained to walk alongside them. Staff expect this program could help as many as 2,000 people a month. Yes, let's give that applause there. We're talking 2,000 people a month. That will radiate out into the community and families all across Wake County. I think it's so awesome that Promise Rescue Network is looking at the whole person and addressing multiple needs. Cafe is a really great name for this space, since it'll be gathering place where folks can come together. They also have an impressive menu of services. They have open or specific peer support, recovery groups, and educational activities. They also offer workforce development, peer support training, overdose prevention education. Wake County is so very proud to be our partner on this project. We are glad we can invest opioid settlement funds in such an impactful program. We are grateful to have resources like opioid settlement funds that allow us flexibility to try new things and be creative in responding to the needs of our community. It's important that organizations like Promise Resource Network lead these efforts and keep the voices of people with lived experience at the center of their work. Thank you again to the entire Promise Resource Network, and we're glad you're expanding your presence here in Wake County. Thank you to Alliance Health, too. We go back a way with Alliance Health and collaborate on many important programs for mental health well-being. It's not easy getting so many talented people working together for our community, but the results are always outstanding. I find that togetherness can always be summed up by my favorite saying, I am you, you are we, and we are Wake County. Thank you.
Speak it. Oh, I look around and I am overwhelmed with emotion. People that have been a part of this journey for years and new friends. I do also want to honor our First Lady. You don't know this, and you didn't know I was going to say anything because you're trying to disappear in the background. But I have to say this: before you were First Lady, I got a call from somebody who lost a child, and that person said to me, Anna Stein sent me a clip of your Peer Run Respite in Charlotte, and we need one in Raleigh, because if this were here, my son would be alive today. That came from you. I didn't know you, you did not know me, but you saw something in that space and you gave out love to somebody that needed it in their biggest time of need. And so that tells me that you're the real deal as well. So thank you for being here.